Hello everyone, welcome to MySQL Store Procedure tutorial. I am Chetan. In today's lecture, I will give little bit information about the trigger and store function, and we will discuss little more about the store procedures. So, in today's session, the topics to be covered are introduction of store program, triggers and store function, what is store procedure, configuration for the store procedure related practical, difference between simple query execution and store procedure execution, MySQL delimiter, store procedure related practical, advantages, and at last we will see advantages and disadvantages of store procedure. So let's start with the store program. So what is store program? A database store program is a computer program that is stored within and executes within the database server. It is also sometimes called as a store module or a stored routine. In simple language, if I say a store program is a simple program which is resides in the database server, and whenever any application or MySQL client calls it, it executes within the database server. Okay. Then next, there are three major types of MySQL store programs. First one is store procedure, store function, and trigger, and there is also one another type, that is event. And store procedure is a prepared SQL code that you can save so that a code can be reused over and over again. So if you have an SQL query that you write over and over again, save it as a store procedure and then just call it to execute it. You can also pass parameter to a store procedure so that the store procedure can act based on the parameter values that is passed. So if I say a store procedure is a, I can say, a collection of codes for the particular task. Okay, that's it. Then store function. Store function is just like a store procedure, but there is one difference between store function and store procedure is that store function returns of a single value. So store functions are similar to store procedures, but their execution results in the result of a single value. Most importantly, a store function can be used within a standard SQL statement, allowing the programmer to effectively extend the capabilities of the SQL language. Now trigger. A database trigger is a special store procedure that is run when specific action occurs within a database. Suppose if we take an example, trigger are used in database. Triggers are used to create a log such as a log of user record, log of product price record, log of activities performed on the particular table, like that. For example, uh, consider an application that use product table, and if the price of the product changes frequently, and if you want to record all the prices that has been changed so far, so you have to create trigger on that table, and whenever the price of the product is changed, then the previous price and the new price record will be logged in some another table. You can do such tasks using triggers. So a database trigger is a special store procedure that is run when specific action occurs within a database. Most triggers are defined to run when changes are made to a table's data, as I said about the product's price. Triggers can be used or can be defined to run instead of or after DML actions such as insert, update and delete. That means if you want to record the changes that would be made to the table before the insertion, then you have to create before insert trigger. After the insertion, then you have to create after insert trigger. Before the update, then you have to create before update trigger. Likewise, if you want to record the changes after the update, then you have to create after update trigger. Just like for delete, before delete and after delete. So what we have discussed so far, we have discussed definition of store program. That is something like a program which is reside in the database server and executes within and utilize, or I can say it is a store program that executes within the database server and provides output to the uh, application or MySQL client. Okay, then we have seen store procedure, definition of store procedure, store function and trigger. Now we will move further toward the store procedure, because this session is related about the store procedure. So what is store procedure? As we have discussed before in the starting of this session, a store procedure is a prepared SQL code that you can save so the code can be reused over and over again. So if you have an SQL query that you write over and over again, save it as a store procedure and then just call it to execute it. Now take an example. Suppose you are developing an application that requires suppose the application that requires the database of customers. Sorry, let me correct first. You are developing an application that contains the database of customers, and you are required, or application required, the information of customers at so many times at various places in the code. Okay, so what do if you do not know store procedure? Then what do? You do just write the code of the SQL query everywhere. So what will happen? Your code becomes lengthy. Okay, and if you know store procedure, then what do you have to write? You have to just write the queries and create, and you have to write store procedure for that query. No need to write everywhere in your code of that no need to write that query in your code everywhere. So whenever you require the information of customer, you just have to call that store procedure and you will get the same result as your query executes. Okay, that is the benefit of the store procedure. There are so many benefits over other than that, but we will discuss in the later part of this session. Now to perform store procedure related practicals, you have to do some configuration for that. Okay, suppose just like if you want to do practical using MySQL, for .NET application, this you have to install .NET related frameworks, Visual Studio, blah blah, etc. Just like if you want to perform MySQL store procedure related practicals, then you require some softwares. So here I have written XAMPP server, SQL Yoke, then some database already available. So what do you do? What do you have to do for the configuration? Let me show you. First of all, you have to install XAMPP server, because XAMPP server comes with default MySQL services. Comes with the MySQL services. So to install the XAMPP server, you have to type XAMPP. If you are using 64-bit operating system, then you have to write XAMPP download 64-bit or 32-bit. Okay, let me click on this. Download XAMPP, www.apachefriends.org. Okay, here you can see different versions of Windows. Okay, let me first tell you I am doing this practical using Windows environment, so I will download Windows XAMPP version of Windows operating system. Here different versions of XAMPP server are available, same for Linux also and Mac OS. I have already downloaded and installed XAMPP server in my computer, so I am not going to download it again. So you can download it here. Once you download, you have to install it, and once you install, you have to open it. XAMPP. Here you can choose XAMPP control panel. Click on it. Okay, you can see here the icon of XAMPP control, and this is the dialog box of XAMPP control panel. This is the window. XAMPP comes with this Apache service, MySQL service, FileZilla service, Mercury and Tomcat. We have to perform MySQL related practicals, so no need to start some other services of this XAMPP control panel. Just have to start MySQL. Once you click on the start, it will automatically change to stop. If you find stop, that means XAMPP MySQL service is running right now. This is the process ID. Don't bother about it. 3306 is the service point number of this server. Okay. Now what we have done so far, we have installed XAMPP server. Then start the services of the MySQL. Now again second point here, install SQLEgg or any other GUI tools of MySQL. Here SQLEgg is a MySQL GUI tool. There are so many tools other than SQLEgg available in the market today, such as PHPMadmin, then MySQL Workbench, then MySQL Query Browser, etc. Okay, I am using here SQLEgg. So go to Google, then type SQLEgg. It is not a free software, but you can download free trial of SQLEgg from this webyog.com. And if you want to purchase, click on buy now. The price of this SQLEgg with standard support for one user is $299. It's too costly. For the student, it is not possible to buy. Okay, or you can download its community version, SQLEgg community. It is freely available. You can download it from github.com, or you can directly download by using link. Okay, there are various versions of SQLEgg community edition available over here. You can download as per your requirement. And after the downloading of this SQLEgg, you have to install SQLEgg, and after the installation you have to run SQLEgg. So this is the dolphin symbol of dolphin icon of the SQLEgg application. Run. I have already done connection with the MySQL, so I am going to show you from the first step. I'm going to first disconnect all. Okay, once you download and install, you will find this screen when you run SQLEgg application. So this is SQLEgg application. You have to connect this application with the MySQL server to access the database. So what you require for the access, you have to click on file, then new connection, and click on new. Our new connection tutorial, MySQL stored procedure tutorial. Okay, connection name is here. It is already exists because I have already written over here. Then click on MySQL. It is MySQL host address. What does it mean? It means I am running a XAMPP server within the same computer in which I am running SQL job. So I do not need to type the IP address of any other PC. So I have to write localhost. Then by default username of the MySQL database of the XAMPP server is root. It does not require password. Then port number 3306. This must be matched with the XAMPP control panel 3306 port. If you change 3306 port over here, then you must have to change over here, because if it does not match, then it will not your connection will be unsuccessful. Now username root, password blank, port 3306. Okay, then click on test connection. Our connection is successful and connect. Once it is successfully connected to the MySQL database, you will see all the database available in MySQL over here. Okay, I am going to delete because I will show you how to load database. More drop database. Now we have already performed these two tasks: downloaded, installed, and run XAMPP server. For the same, SQL yoke downloaded, installed, and run SQL yoke. Now we have to download some sample database, because whatever practical I will do, I will use this sample database. So you have to download it. So from where you have to download it, I am going to show you. Go to Google, type MySQL sample database, MySQL tutorial. Click on this link, mysqltutorial.org, MySQL sample database. Just scroll down. Okay, here you find this button, download MySQL sample database. Click on it. It will automatically download MySQL sample database. Click over here, then show in folder. Right click and extract here. Okay, this is the file that you have to load in SQL yoke. So how will you do that? I am going to show you. Click on file, then open. Once you open, what is our path? This is our path. Just copy and paste over here. Paste. Okay, this is the file. Open. Once you open that file in SQL yoke, you will see this file over here, MySQL database.sql. Just scroll down. There are so many lines of code. You do not have to change any line, because once you change the line, you will mess up everything. No need to change everything. Just execute all queries, or you can execute it by using Control F9. It takes some time. Okay, the execution results you can see over here. 36 queries executed, 36 success, 0 error, 0 warning. Okay, but your database has not been placed over here. You have successfully imported database, but you cannot find over here the database. So how can you find? You just have to click on root, then refresh object browser. You can find classic models database over here. So what we have done so far in today's session is we have seen a definition of the store program, store procedure, store function, and trigger. Then we have configured database, SAM server, and loaded simple database for the practical purpose. Up to this, I hope you might get up to this. Now next, before we start discussion about the MySQL store procedure, let us quick look at this query. Select customer name, city, state, postal code, country from customers, order by customer name. What does this query do? This query will fetch customer name, city, state, postal code, and country from the customer's table, and it will display all the records in the ascending order as per the customer name. So consider you are developing an application and you require this information in the application, say about 200 or 300 times. Then what will you do? You have to write at every place of that code of the code whenever you require this query. So what does it make? It is not good programming practice or database programming practice. So what will you have to do? You have to design one store procedure, okay, and you just have to call that store procedure. Consider, if you are familiar with any programming language, I am giving example of C language over here. In C language, take suppose include stdio.h, include vonio.h, void main. Suppose you have to perform addition in the code of C language program at 2 places or 3 places. Okay, suppose integer a, b, c, d, e, f. Okay, integer result 1, result 2, result 3. R1 is equal to a plus b, R2 is equal to c plus d. Okay, then R3 is equal to e plus f. What are you doing over here? You are using plus operation 3 times over here. Okay, here I have taken an example of only 6 variable. If number of variables are thousands or lakhs, then what will you do? Sorry, if you want to perform addition of numbers that are in thousands of numbers or quantity or digits, then what will you do? You just have to create one function of addition. Integer add, integer variable 1, integer parameter 1, integer parameter 2. Okay, then what will you do? Integer c is equal to p1 plus p2, then return c. Okay, and instead of you write add a, b, add c, d, add e, f. Then you do not have to write the same code again and again. Instead you have to convert into function, just like the store procedure. Okay, I hope you might get it. So what will happen if simple query executes? Suppose your database client at some other places and database server at some other places, and database clients wants to execute the query that we have seen in the last. Then what will happen? Database client will send query to the database server, and database server executes that query and give result set to the database client in response. The real network situation is like that. Database client is placed some other places and database server is placed some other places, both via connected internet. Here the both via connected internet. If the load on the internet is slow, consider if the load on the internet on the network or on the network is slow, then it will work fine. But if the load on the network is high, then it affects the performance. Here in our case, this query, the size of this query is very small, so it does not affect. But consider if the size of the query thousands or lakhs line of code, then what will happen? It affects the performance, because due to slow performance or due to slow network, some line of codes can reach over here and some might get lost. So again, this database client has to generate request. So what is the solution of this? The solution of this is create store procedure, and whenever database client wants to execute this query, then it just have to write the name of the store procedure and this store procedure will execute. Okay, that is the difference between simple query execution and store procedure execution. So you can, whatever I explained in the last, it is something like over here. Database client, here in this case store procedure is already precompiled and stored in the database. So whenever database client wants to execute that store procedure, it just write name of the store procedure over here, and in response get the same table. Right, up to we have discussed what is the difference between simple query execution and store procedure execution. Then now we will see MySQL delimiter. Delimiter means separator. What do you do in any database if you write query and that query ends with the semicolon? Here in our case, our default separator or default delimiter of any database operation is semicolon. And you might have knowledge about that, because whatever practical you have done so far in the database, that all the queries of the database ends with the semicolon. But store procedure is a collection of many queries. Okay, and if we do not change the delimiter of the store procedure, then MySQL compiler will generate an error. Let me give you an example. I'm writing simple store procedure. You do not know the basic syntax, but see here. Create procedure, name suppose test, begin, and select star from customers. If you do not change the delimiter, then MySQL compiler will compile this, it is okay. Will compile this, it is okay, and will compile this. Any MySQL compiler decides this is the end of the store procedure. But in reality, this is the end of store procedure. So it will generate an error that MySQL or check my error 1064 or something else. Okay, so what you have to write, what you have to do, you have to change the delimiter whenever you write any stored procedure. So you generally use semicolon as a statement separator, semicolon as a statement separator while writing the multiple queries. For example, select star from customers, that is end with semicolon, select star from students. But a store procedure, however, consists of multiple statements, as I said earlier, by a semicolon. If you use a MySQL client program to define a store procedure that contains semicolon character, MySQL client program will not treat the whole store procedure but many statements. Therefore, you must have to redefine the delimiter temporarily so that you can pass the whole store procedure to server as a single statement. Okay. So how can you change the delimiter? This is the statement. To redefine the default delimiter, following command here over here. You have to write delimiter, the delimiter character. The delimiter character may consist of single character or multiple characters, just like double forward slash, double dollar, etc. But you should not use backslash because it is used as a escape sequence character in MySQL. You can get more information about by googling it. So how to change delimiter? As I said, you have to first write delimiter, right over here, then delimiter character. In our case, double dollar is a delimiter, new delimiter. So I am going to explain it via example. Open SQL Yoke. Okay. I am going to change delimiter. Suppose, first of all, before changing the delimiter, select star from customers. Okay, this is the table. Execute the query, and we have got the result over here. Now right now our delimiter is semicolon, but if I want to change the delimiter, then before the execution of query I have to write delimiter $. I am going to set delimiter $. Now once you do not have to write semicolon over here, be careful. Okay, once my SQL compiler compile this, then it will set $. Now it knows that $$ is the delimiter. Okay, then this MySQL compile this query. Okay, here what I have write delimiter is a semicolon. Okay, then execute this. It will generate an error because now MySQL knows that $$ is separate and you are using semicolon as a delimiter. Then it will generate an error. Instead semicolon you must have to write $. Okay, now it is working fine. If you want to say double slash as delimiter, then double slash, and that is working fine. And if you want to set semicolon as a delimiter, then delimiter semicolon. This is your default delimiter. Okay, now go back to the delimiter section. Up to this we have now, I hope you might get the concept of delimiter, then how to change the delimiter and why do we require to change the delimiter. Why? Because MySQL stored procedure contains so many statements which ends with the semicolon, and if you don't change the semicolon as a delimiter, then MySQL compiler will generate an error and it will not consider stored procedure as a wall. Okay, so again I am going to tell you that you must have to change the delimiter before the store procedure. Okay, we will see in the later part of this session when we write our for stored procedure. Now, the basic syntax of the stored procedure. Each and every new construct of any programming language has a proper syntax. Like in C language, function is a proper syntax. You cannot write as you want. Okay. So in the case of MySQL, we will see basic syntax of stored procedure and then how to call or execute stored procedure. Then I will give one examples of how to write a stored procedure. Okay. Before look at the basic syntax of the stored procedure, let us look. I'm going to give example. I like C language very much, that's why I am giving example of C language. If you want to define function in C language, then what will you have to write the data type, then function name, then if the function requires parameter, then you have to write the name of the parameter, param 1, parameter 2, etc. Then function start with the open curly brackets, begin with the open curly braces, and you have to write logics over here, then close with the end with the close curly bracket. This is the prototype of the function definition. Okay, this is the rule of writing function definition in the C language. Just like there is a syntax for writing stored procedure in MySQL database. In MySQL database, whenever you define a stored procedure, then first of all you have to write create procedure. As we write data type in the function definition of C language, just like we have to write create procedure. This is fixed because you do not have to specify data type. Okay, create procedure. As we write function name, we have to write procedure name. Suppose we have to write test. If you want to pass parameter here, then you have to specify the parameter. Now, function starts with the open curly bracket. Stored procedure start with the begin block, begin keyword. Then you have to write the logic. Function ends with the close curly bracket, it ends with the end keyword, and you have to write delimiter. I hope you might get the difference. I hope you might get the syntax of the stored procedure. Let us see. As I told you, or as I explained you have to write create procedure. This is fixed. Then specify the procedure name. Then if you want to pass any argument to the procedure, then you have to specify that parameter that we will see in the next session. Just like open curly bracket begin, then specify the statements and end, and you have to specify the delimiter. If you set before the stored procedure if you set delimiter as a $$ before the stored procedure definition, then you have to specify $. I hope you might get the basic syntax of the stored procedure. The next, how to call stored procedure. If you want to call this function, then what should we write? Function name and parameters. This is called function call. Same way for the procedure, you have to define procedure call. Then you have to write call. This is fixed. Then name of the procedure. If procedure requires any parameter, then you have to specify over here. Ends with the semicolon. You can see over here. Here call is fixed. Then you have to specify the procedure name. Then argument list. Okay, I hope you might get the concept, then get the basic syntax of the stored procedure as well as how to call stored procedure. Now I am going to give an example of basic of stored procedure. Consider the following query. Select start from products. This same query I am to convert into procedure. So go back to the SQL Yog. What was our query? Select star from customers. Okay, I am going to convert this query into stored procedure. So as I have told you earlier, before the writing of the stored procedure, you have to change the delimiter $, then specify create keyword procedure. Do not forget to write this keyword because most students do mistake over here. Just write the create, they forget the procedure. But instead you should remember this create procedure. Then name of the procedure, I am going to give name GEL or customer info. I am not defining any parameter over here. Begin block, then select start from customers, end block. Okay. So if I do without defining the delimiter, then what will happen? Let us see. It generates an error 1064. Okay, delimiter $, $, and again I am going to change delimiter to default semicolon. Once you complete your store procedure, you must have to change the delimiter semicolon. Okay, now your query is executed, success, no error, 0 warning. So once the store procedure is compiled without any error, then you can see this store procedure information in your database. Here our our selected use database classic models. Then you can see store here get all customer info. So how can we call it? We have compiled and we have created store procedure so far, but we have to call this store procedure now. For the store procedure call, you have to specify call, then get all customer info. Once you execute, you will get the same output as the query, as the output you got while the query was executed. Okay, I hope you might get how to write this stored procedure. You first have to specify the delimiters. If you do not specify delimiter, you will get an error. Then create procedure. This is fixed word, fixed to word. Then specify the name of the procedure, and it starts with the begin, ends with the end keyword, and with delimiter, and you have to specify the logic over here. Okay, I hope you might get it. Now get back to the store procedure. Now advantages of stored procedure. As I give you an example, while we were discussing about the difference between simple query execution and stored procedure about the network traffic. It reduces network traffic because instead of sending multiple lengthy SQL statements, applications have to send only the name and parameter of stored procedures. You know that MySQL client or application does not require to send lengthy SQL statements to the database server. Second is centralized business logic in the database. You can use the stored procedure to implement business logic that is reusable by multiple applications. That means you have to specify only, that means once you create a stored procedure, and you can use that stored procedure in some other applications also. You do not need to duplicate that stored procedure for some other applications. That means it is shared. You can use the stored procedure to implement business logic that is reusable by the multiple applications. No need to write duplicate logic in all the application. It makes database more consistent. Next. It makes database more secure because it prevents direct access to the underlying table, or it adds one extra layer of accessing the underlying tables. Here I have specified the database administrator can grant appropriate privileges to applications that only access specific stored procedure without giving any privileges on underlying tables. And last, it is portable. MySQL stored procedure are portable because when we write our stored procedure or when we create our stored procedure in MySQL, we know that it will run on every platform that MySQL runs on without extra configuration efforts. So these are the advantages. It reduces network traffic, it centralizes business logic in the database, it makes database more secure, it is portable. Now we see disadvantages of stored procedure. It uses a lot memory. That means memory usage increased. If you use many stored procedures, the memory usage of every connection that is using the stored procedure will increase substantially. Then it is restricted for complex business logic. Actually, stored procedures construct are not designed for developing complex and flexible business logic. To design such type of logic, MySQL provides some other extra features. Then it is difficult to debug. It is difficult to debug stored procedure because database does not provide any inbuilt tools to debug the MySQL stored procedure, but there is one SQL Studio, something like software available, third-party application software, which is paid software. By the use of software, you can debug the database, you can debug the stored procedure, but it requires a lot of training to debug the stored procedure if you still have that software. And it is difficult to maintain. It is not easy to develop and maintain stored procedure because it requires special skills for that. It is not easy to develop and maintain stored procedures. Developing and maintaining stored procedures are more often require a specialized skill set that not all application developers possess. This may lead to problems in both application development and maintenance phases. These are the references from where I have taken this information. Okay, thank you. If you have any query, then ask in the comment section.